สวัสดีครับต้อนรับเข้าสู่สุทธิชัยไลฟ์ครับเช้าวันศุกร์ที่25พฤศจิกายนเมื่อวานนี้มาเลเซียได้นายกรัฐมนตรีคนใหม่อันวาอิบราฮิมหลังจากที่มีความไม่แน่นอนวิ่งเต้นกันวุ่นวายเพราะว่าไม่มีพรรคไหนกลุ่มไหนมีเสียงเกินครึ่งที่จะตั้งรัฐบาลได้ดังนั้นมีการแอบประชุมแอบที่จะโยกย้ายความจงรักภักดีงูเห่าวิ่งกันเต็มเมืองไปหมดท้ายที่สุดหลังจากที่มีการสอบถามกันแล้วหลังจากที่ต้องเข้าเฝ้าสมเด็จราชาธิบดีหลายครั้งหลายหนของหลายกลุ่มกษัตริย์มาเลเซียจึงทรงตัดสินพระทัยว่าอันวาอิบราฮิมอยู่ในฐานะที่จะได้เสียงสนับสนุนพอที่จะตั้งรัฐบาลได้ก็เป็นความฝันอันยาวนานของผู้ชายที่ชื่ออันวาอิบราฮิมชีวิตผ่านการเมืองที่โลดโผนสีสันเต็มที่ตั้งแต่เป็นดาวรุ่งที่เป็นทายาททางการเมืองภายใต้การนำของนายกรัฐมนตรีมหาเดช โมฮัมหมัดในขณะนั้นแต่ว่าด้วยความที่ถูกระแวงสงสัยจากอันวานี่แหละครับที่กลายเป็นเหยื่อเพราะมหาเดชมองว่าต้องการจะวัดรอยเท้าก็เลยถูกนอกจากปลดออกจากตำแหน่งแล้วก็ยังถูกข้อหามากมายจนกระทั่งติดคุก2 รอบนะครับจากเด่นที่สุดเบอร์2กลายเป็นติดคุกออกมาจากคุกก็ยังต้องดิ้นรนต่อสู้ในแวดวงการเมืองเป็นฝ่ายค้านและก็ยังกลับมาจับไม้จับมือกับคู่แค้นเก่าคือเจ้านายเก่ามหาเดชเพื่อจะโค่นรัฐบาลขณะนั้นท้ายที่สุดเลือกตั้งครั้งนี้ที่ช็อกโลกก็คือท่านผู้เฒ่ามหาเดชวัย97สอบตกและอันวาซึ่งเป็นคู่แค้นของมหาเดชมาตลอดนั้นถึงแม้ว่าพรรคตัวเองจะไม่ใช่เสียงส่วนใหญ่และกลุ่มตัวเองในกลุ่มเองก็ไม่ใช่พรรคที่มีที่นั่งมากที่สุดแต่ในท้ายที่สุดด้วยประสบการณ์และด้วยการยอมรับของพรรคการเมืองกลุ่มการเมืองต่างๆจึงทำให้อันวาประสบความสำเร็จในชีวิตที่รอมาไว้ต่ำกว่า30 ปีที่จะเป็นนายกรัฐมนตรีและวันนี้ผมย้อนกลับไปเมื่อประมาณ4 ปีที่แล้วที่ผมได้มีโอกาสไปสัมภาษณ์อันวาอิบราฮิมขณะนั้นเพิ่งจะออกจากคุกใหม่ๆและส่งเสริมสนับสนุนให้มหาเดชเป็นนายกรัฐมนตรีการเมืองช่วงนั้นกับการเมืองช่วงนี้ก็เปลี่ยนไปเยอะผมสัมภาษณ์อันวาสำหรับรายการทางไทย PBS ชื่อโลกป่วนออกอากาศเมื่อ4 กันยาปี2561ครับก็คือ4 ปีแล้วช่วงนั้นขณะนั้นสิ่งที่อันวาพูดกับผมกับสิ่งที่เผชิญตอนนี้ก็จะแตกต่างกันพอสมควรแต่ก็น่าสนใจครับน่าสนใจว่าตอนนั้นอันวาคิดอย่างไรตอนนี้อันวาต้องมาจับมือกับกลุ่มอัมโนที่สนับสนุนอันวาให้มาเป็นนายกรัฐมนตรีแนวทางคนละเรื่องคนละราวกันอันวาต่อต้านคอร์รัปชันแล้วก็เคยวิพากษ์วิจารณ์อัมโนว่าเป็นประเทศเป็นพรรคการเมืองประเภทที่มีเรื่องคอร์รัปชันมากมายแต่วันนี้ต้องอาศัยเสียงของกลุ่มอัมโนเพื่อจะสนับสนุนตัวเองให้เป็นนายกรัฐมนตรีเปรียบเทียบดูนะครับเมื่อ4 ปีก่อนกับวันนี้จุดยืนของอันวาจะต้องปรับตัวอะไรอย่างไรบ้างผมจึงขอนำเอาบทสัมภาษณ์วันนั้นเมื่อ4 ปีก่อนตอนที่อันวาอยู่ในอีกฐานะหนึ่งให้ได้ชมได้ฟังแล้วก็ได้ไตร่ตรองพิจารณาว่าการเมืองสามารถทำให้อันวาต้องคิดอะไรใหม่คิดอะไรแบบเดิมจุดยืนเดิมกับจุดยืนใหม่จะเป็นอย่างไรฉะนั้นอยากให้ไปชมจากคลิปนี้จากไทย PBS รายการโลกป่วนเมื่อ4 กันยา2561ครับเชิญฟังครับน่าสนใจมาก So Anwar so happy to see you again
Thank you. I mean, it's a pleasure. It's been some time.
Yes, some time. I've been following your activities, praying for you, and talking about you to the Thai audience about how I got to know you and the interviews I had with you. and with incredible happiness, right? You
Yeah.
made it now. Mhm. Now you are the free man now. You
Yeah.
are a free man.
At last, free in the real sense, because even those days when I was released from prison, I was technically, touch and go. One leg was still in prison.
Yeah.
So now it's a free man, and we just celebrated our Merdeka. Can you imagine me and Mahathir on stage?
Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, there are a lot of comments on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So free here means physical freedom. Of course, you're not in prison. Politically, are you free?
Yes. I'm free. I have told Mahathir that I don't intend to serve in any position in the cabinet until the right time, which means I can say whatever I like and move and travel and speak. This is just amazing thing.
Yeah. Except criticizing the government.
Even then, mildly, I do. Yeah, I do. I just said about the arrogance of some of these ministers.
Yeah.
After holding office, not prepared to listen and to give lectures, like the old habits die hard.
So how do they take it?
I don't think they like it, but they get used to do. I mean, I was polite. I said, because we support them, but the people are getting to be more critical.
Well, you look relaxed, but you won't be relaxed for too long. The big challenge ahead. If Prime Minister Mahathir steps down in 2 years, as he promised to do, then you will have a lot of things to do. The expectations are up there. Is that scary?
Yeah, of course, democracy has its what do you call adverse sort of problems, because the expectations are just too high, and people think that all the problems in the world must be solved by the new government.
Yeah.
And of course, we also made too many promises.
Right.
But my advice was that then have the humility to acknowledge, yes, we could do this in the first 3-4 months, but we have to extend, and be humble enough to accept the fact that the economic turnaround cannot be done in a few months.
And also the debts piled up by the previous government, corruption.
Corruption, people used to say, well, Malaysia is relatively better than Indonesia or Thailand or the Philippines. Once you go probe deeper, it is not better, it's smarter.
How can corruption be smarter?
Well, I used to compare between the corruption in Indonesia and Malaysia. I say Indonesia were under the Dutch, crude, real battle. They shoot you. The British use gunboat diplomacy.
Right. Yes.
So that's how they influenced us. So we were more sophisticated. In, for example, we say, don't give me in front, put in the account overseas. The Indonesian may just accept it under the file.
Right.
It's corruption all the same.
Right. And under Najib, it was crude, or was it smarter?
Yeah, I think under Najib it's amazing because it was both crude and smart.
What do you mean by that? Meaning that they did everything.
They did everything possible. I mean, and even surprised many of us. I was opposition leader. We exposed a lot of scandals.
Yes.
But I could not imagine that the filth went to this extent and this deep. You go to every single department, in every single transaction, or tender or procurement policy, there must be some major commissions, kickbacks, and this is real. And it comes daily. Once you go probe into deeper, then immediately, it comes out. It's really a drain to the country. It becomes almost like a culture, and it requires a real battle. That's why my decision, as I told Mahathir, when it comes to this, you have all the latitude. I'll give you all the support. You don't worry about my position. I'll give all the support necessary. It's not just Najib and one MDB. That is just tip of the iceberg. Because even the MDB, you actually see the rock in the entire institution, the judiciary, the enforcement agencies, banking community, legal. So you have to really undertake some very serious measures.
So it's the vicious triangle, politicians, bureaucrats, business people?
Yes.
Wow. Mhm.
Otherwise, if they're not complicit to this crime, a scandal as huge as one MDB would not happen. I mean, the economic journals mentioned this as probably the worst scandal involving a government ever.
Wow. In terms of the amount of money lost and in terms of the complicity and
The amount, the complicity, and the sheer, should say, oblivious. Buy planes as you want, paintings as you want, buy diamonds as you want, and you just don't care. And you have, luxuries you watch. I mean, all these are using government funds.
Wow.
Which I think it is really shocking.
So you think that the new government can recover the losses?
Some losses, of course, there are losses, but then some you can recoup. For example, if the yacht costs 300 million, you can recover, but it becomes 150.
Right.
Yeah. A plane you buy, for example, with 250 million, you cannot recoup that money. But at least there's attempt to recoup, and I think, and I believe, and certainly I support the tough measures. Shouldn't show any mercy when it comes to public funds.
Right.
I've said that I've forgiven all these individuals that cause or inflict harm on me.
Right.
Okay, personally, I'm not going to take it up. Okay, but then you squander
Public money.
public money. I have no authority to forgive you. Yeah, you have to repay. And the public money means the money of the rich, and more so the money of the poor and the marginalized.
Has Najib apologized publicly?
No, he seems to be quite adamant. He can, in insisting that he's innocent and has been. It's quite amazing.
Yeah. Despite the evidence.
Yeah, he says the evidence are concocted. I mean, the whole world knows about Birkin bags now. You know, I was in Turkey, I was in the UK, I was in Jakarta, and everybody was making big jokes about it, including his old allies and friends. Because they came, claims that we don't know. I think many of them knew. The problem is the complicity of governments, of political leaders, of business community, which is it's really sickening to my mind. They knew. Of course, they did not know the extent and the gravity, but they knew.
Yeah.จริงไหมที่คืนวันเลือกตั้งนาจิบราซักนายกรัฐมนตรีขณะนั้นโทรศัพท์ไปต่อรองเจรจากับอันวาเพื่อที่จะจับมือกันสกัดไม่ให้มหาเดชกลับมา But on election night Najib called you
Yes, he did call
trying to strike a deal with you
not necessarily because when the deputy prime minister first called he to a large extent was conceding defeat because he was also Minister of Interior, Minister of Home Affairs, which means he must have got the intelligence report. But he did caution me to say, Najib wants to speak to you in an hour, and he does not believe that Najib is prepared to concede. So when he spoke, but I was polite.
You were polite
I was always
polite, of course.
I should not.
You should not have been polite too polite
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. I should have the killer instinct,
right
as most politicians do, but I don't. So when he spoke to him, and furthermore, I knew he lost. So I don't need to be rough and cool with him. So he was saying, well, we have not got the numbers. There were problems on the ground. I say, okay, take your time. Then he went on after a few hours. Then by that time it was very clear. He was saying,
he called again.
And by that time I said, look, Najib, as a friend, see, I say consider him a friend.
As a friend.
As a friend, I want to advise you to concede defeat. so that the transition is smooth. He was going on and on and on, saying this, the possibility of having a sort of arrangement because we are not actually, we're not satisfied with the result of the elections. So finally I said, look, I'm still technically in prison. Although
I'm still a prisoner.
Yes. I didn't say, you damn it, put me into jail. No, I did not.
Did I say that?
Technically, I'm in prison.
Yes.
And now, this is going to be your last call to me. After this, you are going to deal with Tun Mahathir.
That's even tougher, much tougher.
Then he became a bit, a bit quiet for a while. But I said again, my advice, concede now. It's already hours, almost the wee in the morning, and people are restless, and people are getting angry, and then for the right reasons. In any democratic transition, once it is clear, you cross the 50% electoral, members of parliament, you concede. But here he just refused until very late in the morning, about 11. Even then, he was a bit combative.
Right.
Yeah, so that he actually, due to his plain arrogance, invited this sort of backlash.
Did he suggest in any way that he could work with you to prevent Mahathir from coming back?
No, he did not to the extent, because that was clear that time we had this agreement in place, and I was in prison. Technically, I cannot hold office until I run for parliament. He knows that. But he thought the most I could do was to influence, be able to influence the direction. And of course, it didn't go, because I didn't entertain. I did not give any indication that, we should be able to talk together, work together. I said, we can. Let this transition take place and see what happens later. So that's the most I say.
So there was no sort of discussion of possible cooperation with him?
No, well, he did indicate that, we are prepared, to discuss and negotiate. But I didn't, of course, entertain. I said, look, our mandate is very clear, and we have won with a clear majority. This would come later if you want to, and we have to discuss with Mahathir.
Yeah. What did he say when you mentioned Mahathir?
Kept quiet, nothing much. He can respond.
All right.
But I said very clear that our consensus was to have Mahathir as the Prime Minister.
คำถามใหญ่แน่นอนตกลงมหาเดชจะยอมก้าวลงเพื่อให้อันวาขึ้นมาเป็นนายกรัฐมนตรีหรือไม่ต่อไปนี้มาเลเซียจะเดินหน้าอย่างไรเบื้องหลังของข้อตกลงระหว่างมหาเดชกับอันวาคืออะไรคำเปิดใจของอันวาเรื่องเหล่านี้น่าตื่นตาตื่นใจน่าสนใจน่าติดตามว่าคนอย่างอันวาคิดอย่างไรกับสิ่งที่เกิดขึ้นกับชีวิตอันวากำลังจะบอกผมครับว่าการเมืองมาเลเซียนี่มีเรื่องบ้าๆเยอะนะบ้าอย่างไรติดตามครับทุกคำถามที่อยู่ในใจของผู้ที่ติดตามการเมืองมาเลเซียจะได้รับการยกขึ้นมาเพื่อให้อันวาอิบราฮิมตอบ There were rumors in the first week that there was a third party trying to intervene too, including Turkey or something. Is there any ground to that?
No, not really. I think after this was the rumor was because there was slight delay in the swearing in of the Prime Minister.
Right.
Because technically the king invited Aziza to the palace. Now his explanation to me, when from prison I was straight to the palace.
Right.
It's amazing.
Wow, from prison to palace.
Palace, yes. Nothing in between. In fact, there was jokes. They said, I'm summoned to the palace.
Wow.
You see, because that was before the pardon.
Yeah.
I said, there's no suit, no tie, no songkok, you see.
Sure.
So we had to rush everything there. He said, summon now. So
Right,
it is
now,
rush
now,
everything, and the prison officers, of course, have got to get everything ready. So I went to the palace, and when there he explained, I said the reason why he offered Aziza because Aziza commands the support of the majority in terms of members of parliament. Because even Mahathir contested on our party banner. Yeah, it's interesting. You see, this is how the world works. It's amazing.
This is incredible work.
Yeah.
So Mahathir was a party member,
Yeah,
running under the banner of PKR.
Yeah, PKR. So naturally, the king said, a person, PKR president, Aziza, he command. So that's why he invited Aziza. And then Aziza, of course, unlike many politicians, was clearly honest and said, look, Your Highness, I'm very appreciative and grateful, but I am bound by my agreement to support Mahathir as the Prime Minister. So the king said, okay, in that case, I will call for the full meeting tomorrow to make sure that this is also the feeling of the other component parties. So that took another day. Oh, no, just not another 12 hours.
Yeah.
And because people were getting restless, a lot of rumors.
Right.
And a lot of concerns. Of course, that time, Turkey is a great friend of ours, wanted this to be smooth. They were concerned that, there may be some civil rift, that Najib forces may block the deal or whatever. But it didn't come to that because the king was a bit fast, called all the party leaders, and they said, yes, this was truly the agreement. Then he immediately saw in Mahathir.
So in what way was Turkey concerned, or how did Turkey express its concern about possible chaos?
At that time, they thought that any delay would then warrant an unrest.
Yes.
And because of Najib being so entrenched with the security, with the money, so they was inquiring what was happening, anything they could do. We said by then it was quite resolved.
So, and you were there in the palace.
Yes.
What were you doing? What was your role?
The king summoned me to the palace to inform me that he is giving me to clean all my records and giving me the full pardon, erasing all criminal records.
I see.
And he said to me, look, Anwar, I'm doing it not because it is within my power or authority. I'm doing it because I know you are innocent. I went through the chain of evidence, and I want you to remember that this should never happen to our country, ever. And I said, Your Highness, this is serious. What you're saying is your criticism of the prosecution, the judiciary, and the conduct of the judges.
Yes.
He said, yes. Because that night, upon my release, they're planning for a big rally at the field in Kuala Lumpur.
Yes.
He said, you can repeat that. That's from me.
Wow.
So I repeated that.
You did that?
Yes, I did. And he watched the television live broadcast.
Live. Wow.
Can you imagine, from a person banned completely to a live broadcast? And then he acknowledged, he said, thank you very much. You represent, because he talked about miscarriage of justice. He looked at the chain of it, which is very good. Because, a pardon means, if the king did not say that, which would mean that you're guilty, then you're asking for forgiveness.
Sure.
But in this case, he said, no, I'm doing it not because of the crime you committed, but because there was no crime, you were innocent. And and in fact, there's travesty of justice. Which is, I was very pleased. It was a very emotional meeting. I said, Your Highness, I was, I'm so pleased and grateful for you to come. No, he says that's the truth.
Full vindication.
Yes, full vindication. He said, based on the facts and the law.
And that was before Mahathir sought pardon.
No,
happening at
the same time, because Mahathir just sought pardon technically within the procedure. But then the king went ahead and moved the whole thing. In fact, he invited me even before the Pardons Board meeting.
I see.
You see, the Pardons Board meeting was, say, for example, at 10 o'clock. Okay? Which is going to be a short one, because just enough for Mahathir to say, but the government is recommending this, and the king then gave the full pardon. So it can be, actually they met about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But before they convened the meeting, the king already summoned me to the palace. So in fact, by the time I arrived, Mahathir was just going out. That's why this photograph about me and in palace. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's a coincidence.
Yeah, that was great coincidence and would be recorded as something really incredible in the Malaysian history, right? Yeah.
There are many crazy things we do anyway in politics and in
A
life.
lot of crazy things. Too many crazy things to understand, really. Another crazy thing is in politics, there are no real enemies, no real friends. And you and Mahathir have sort of, that underline that old saying. Is that still true?
Suthichai, there is a difference here. People ask me, the important that is that we both agree on the reform agenda.
Reform agenda.
Yes. Which means I finally said, yes, we'll work together. Once there is a commitment on democracy, the free media, independent judiciary, end to corruption, good governance. At least this was stipulated, duly signed. People, of course, take up the issue, the fact that Mahathir and the leaders signed the fact that Anwar is going to be the next prime minister.
Right.
Okay, but that's part of it. The major part of it is the reform.
The reform agenda.
Yeah. So it's not just about expedient about Mahathir to be prime minister and Anwar to be next prime minister. No, that's not enough. What difference does it make? We have so many prime ministers coming and going, and so many governments.
Doesn't matter to you.
The same corruption, the same abuse. You come in with a clear mandate. You cannot steal from the people.
But how did you convince Mahathir to accept the reform agenda?
Mahathir is, of course, very smart politician. He understands the society, and I think he saw something that he could not envisage before. The fact that the country is declining in terms of its moral fiber and the endemic corruption and the sheer arrogance of power. Well, people say maybe attributed to him, but I would share this, that he could not imagine that would go to this extent. And therefore, I think then he started talking to opposition leaders, civil society, intellectuals, which he had not had sessions before.
No. First time he engaged.
Engaged for a month. You see, it's not just weeks, it's just for a year of serious engagement. Then I think, when he came to see me as a friend, I was amenable, I was kind, I was polite. But then to follow this up, I said, look, we are here as a party with an agenda. Economic policies, social policies, and this has to be agreed upon. And he agreed. Again, some of these rules, why this, why that. He continues to do that.
Yeah, and why you're still too idealistic. This is not practical.
Yes.
I'm sure it's going to caution you.
He did. For example, a bit idealistic or too democratic, or too liberal.
Right.
I said, the world has changed, Mr. Prime Minister. We are no longer in the 80s. And we must have confidence and trust that we can build. But of course, it requires strong institutions, judiciary, the media, to be effective.
อันวาเชื่อมหาเดชจริงๆหรือเพราะว่าต้องไม่ลืมว่าอดีตอันขมขื่นของอันวามาจากมหาเดชคนนี้ Did you really trust him when he approached you? Did you really think that you could trust him because he was someone who had done all this to you? You were not a saint. You cannot say, I forgive everyone. I don't remember anything bad
No,
at all.
certainly
But you were
I'm-
just a human being.
Yes, I was angry.
Yes.
It was painful.
Yes.
It was difficult decision for me, for Aziza, the family.
Yeah.
It took time.
Mhm.
At a personal level, I'm easy and I can meet people and forget.
Yeah.
But then I think it comes to working together,
Mhm.
took a longer time.
Mhm.
But then, to his credit, he also worked very hard,
Mhm.
meeting people, going down, getting, attacked and abused.
Yeah.
His security withdrawn. He is openly abused nightly on television.
Right.
So I think he also took a lot of blows.
Mhm.
And I think that also, appeal to many of our supporters. Look, you cannot be acting. He has also suffered in the process, and he was then 92. Yeah, and not many people would want to do that.
No. So you sort of gave him the benefit of the doubt when he approached you and said, let's work together. Let's get rid of Najib. Then I become prime minister for 2 years. Then you follow me. No?
Not initially, I wasn't impressed.
No, you were not impressed.
No, not initially. But then when I saw how hard he worked, and he was how difficult it was for him too. You know, in the first few rallies,
Mhm.
every speaker before him would say, I was imprisoned by Mahathir for 1 year, and I was assaulted by his people. You know, so every goes, and he had to really swallow a lot of these things. It was very difficult. To the extent that I got a message to say, please stop this and move on.
Please start. Because this is too much for the old man to take, right?
But he did. I mean, even towards the end, during the campaign, he was there every night.
Yeah.
Campaigning. He was very tough.
Tough time. And he survived
Yeah,
that.
he did it.
So
So I
you-
think people do give him that credit, and I do.
Even now.
Yes. Now, of course, I have a good relation with him. I don't meet him that often. I mean, in the private exchange, once a fortnight, I will have long chats with him.
Yes. Mhm. When was the last time?
3 days.
Really?
roughly.
What did you talk about?
No, we talk about policies. Recently, it was the concerns of the more marginalized societies and the poor, including the Malays, were just reacting. Look, what the future is going to be. So these things are said. And he mentioned in the media.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
spoke to me and he said he was a bit concerned.
Yes. I saw that in the paper today.
Yeah.
Yes.
But which is okay.
Mhm. So did you give him any warning about his performance? About his ministers?
I did consciously look. I think he needs to advise them and caution them about making statements. I know some of them are new, but one or two mistakes, okay. But you make too many silly remarks. We have all to suffer in the process. So please,
And you too, huh? And will have to suffer too, right?
yes,
Because you have to take the blame as well
Yes.
now. In the same boat,
That's
so to
true.
say.
That's true.
แล้วเขาพร้อมหรือยังที่จะเป็นนายกรัฐมนตรีเขามองประเด็นปัญหาชายแดนภาคใต้ไทยอย่างไร So you are now ready to take up the premiership.
Well, I've been waiting for 20 years, so it doesn't make a difference if I can wait a bit longer. But the point is, the government has just been there for 4 months. And I think to be fair, let the transition be smooth, settle the major issues. And I have not been even to Bangkok. Give me time. I want to go there as a normal citizen.
Sure.
Not as a prime minister with all protocols and like that. I want to meet friends and
We're going to have dinner.
Have dinner,
Thai
have
massage.
lectures.
Thai massage. You need one for your shoulder, right?
It's recuperating.
No, but seriously, you will have to prepare yourself.
That's true. That's true.
How are you preparing yourself?
No, PM has been kind. I mean, he's allowed ministers to come and brief me,
Ah.
talk to me, and
So you get all the briefings.
yeah, and also I call independent economists internationally. People have actually we have too many friends who came, wanted to contribute
Yeah.
and prepare, which I think augurs well for the country.
Yes, all the ASEAN friends praying for the success of the new dawn of Malaysia. Mhm.
Yeah, because not too, I should say, reassuring for ASEAN.
No. Malaysian example is good for a lot of our ASEAN friends, also not too good. Or maybe wake up call for the rest of ASEAN and the rest of Asia as well, I would presume.
No, because particularly in Muslim society countries, it's all gloom and despair. Yeah. But now suddenly they see Malaysia coming up. It generated so much interest, even in the Arab world.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was a world story. It was a global incident. Yes. Were you surprised yourself at the outcome of the election?
Not really, no, Sai, because you look at the 2013 results, we had already 52% of popular votes.
Yes.
And I thought if we were able to push a bit more, we could. And then
You
we
were almost there.
Yes,
In fact,
yes.
last time I
if
was.
they didn't cheat, we have
Yeah.
won.
Yeah.
So because I was almost there, they put me back in prison.
Right.
These rotten guys.
Yes.
So now with Mahathir and some of the old UMNO leaders I'm sure they could appeal a few more percent.
Yeah.
And precisely that was what happened. But frankly, I did not realize or anticipate that big a margin. I anticipated a small margin, and with the opposition in Sabah Sarawak coming in. But we did not rely on that. It was just a single coalition in Peninsula was enough. And then we had again another bonus from Sabah Sarawak. Yeah. I was telling the other day that what surprised me, the most remote area in Sarawak, of the indigenous tribes, in the borders of Borneo, the most remote, we call the Puncak Borneo. And I did not anticipate a victory, but we won in that seat.
Wow. How do you explain that?
I mean, I met the member of parliament. He said, okay, he worked there. I remember going there long before 2013 and telling him, you have to win this, is scolding him and things like that. He was telling me this, and he said the people just worked very hard. They had lots of problems of customary land and poverty and widespread there. We won. You don't ask me how, but then people, you see, never underestimate the strength of democracy and the wisdom of the people.
Yes.
They say, well, only the urban, the more articulate, the middle class, the elite is nonsense. You have cases where you explain to them, these people in simple language would understand whether they have leaders or robbers.
Yes. So don't underestimate the fact that the people are not talking. Because most of the polls before election were suggesting that UMNO was still going to be in power.
Most of the formal polls, the quiet poll that came to me, even in prison, was a different story altogether. Yes.
Wow. Oh, the public polls were something else. And the private polls suggested that you're going to win.
I wouldn't say win, but certainly a chance of winning is there. For example, I was in prison. I should say 90% of the guards were with us. And then I was in the hospital. The nurses, the doctors, the workers, they were all with us. And openly. This time we must make it. I'll make sure I go and vote. And the morning during the elections, I was surprised. They said the traffic, the day before the election, the evening, the traffic going back to the villages, to the districts. This is like a national holiday. Everybody wants to go back, and mostly among the young, going to vote.
So that was a good signal for
A
you.
good signal. At that time, I said, wow, this is a good feeling.
Wow.
Yeah, I could see the enthusiasm of the guards, who had to vote sometimes early. Said, the moment they vote, have this, they all came back, says, sir, I've done my duty. it's my contribution to you or something like that. You know, so it's amazing. I could sense
Yeah. It's
from the
incredible.
director downwards.
Mhm, mhm,
You know,
mhm.
yeah, quite open.
While I was in a taxi, the taxi driver was telling me all the taxi drivers were voting for you. Yeah. Except that he wants me to ask you about Grab taxi.
Yeah, you know.
He said, when are you going to stop Grab taxi?
Yeah. There's a big tussle that I think, they need to negotiate to protect.
Yeah. So the government will have to work on it, right? Anyway, back to Mahathir. So you trust that he will keep his promise. In fact, he told me when I interviewed him 2 weeks ago, he said, yes, there's an agreement. I will live up to it. No truth to the rumors that I'm not going to step down.
No, that's true. I have no reason to distrust. He's 93. He's working very hard. And he appeared. I mean, morning at 7:45 was there for Merdeka celebration.
Right.
My goodness,
Right.
stuff.
And this 71 young man, how are you going to handle the premiership? How prepared are you? Physically, mentally, of course, professionally, I think you are ready. But you've been through a lot.
Yes,
Up
that
and-
helps.
That
You've
helps.
seen the best and the worst, and you must always remember the worst.
Yes.
Yeah. You live with the poorest, the most marginalized in society in prison. You should learn.
Right.
So I think I told you before. So what do you learn from prison? You learn the meaning of life and humanity and freedom.
Humility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're there,
Yeah.
sleeping on the floor.
Right.
Yeah. On the cement floor.
Wow. Was it a solitary confinement?
And solitary confinement.
Really? Wow. Not to mention the assault on you. The black eye is still there. The story of the black eye.
So all that to teach you a lesson. You get a black eye, and if you condone or tolerate any other person with black eye, then you are just a rotten leader.
Yeah.
You should, this is something you should have a strong passion.
How did you enjoy prison? May I ask a stupid question?
The only thing I enjoy about prison is the time to read. I read virtually everything I could find.
Yeah.
History, politics, economics, religion, philosophy, anything. And that helps. Well, initially there were problems, a number of books, etc., but after that they gave up.
Right. Well, of course, you couldn't watch TV.
No TV, no radio.
No, you couldn't follow the news.
No news. No. But of course, when you get to court, or you meet the lawyers, they update you a bit. Well, sometimes the prison officers, from time to time will whisper things
to you, because they know that you are interested in what is happening.
Yeah, but the younger staff would tell you about latest songs and latest music, latest movies. But you
Right.
Yeah. So I'm no knowledgeable about the latest songs and movies.
No, from the young people.
From the young guys compared to those guys outside. So they were joking with me about the contemporary singers.
Yeah.
So I said, yes, Adele and Sam Smith. And none of people of your generation would even know at all. But the younger guys would know. They were all laughing.
Right. How many days exactly in total did you spend in prison?
Total almost 11 years.
11 years, huh? Your health, how is it?
It's fine. I mean, for the shoulder, I'm recuperating because of the titanium. Otherwise, I'm very good health. That's
so fit to be prime minister.
There are many sick people who are prime ministers, and that's our problem in this world.
Thailand will be the ASEAN chairman again next year. How do you see ASEAN today? And what should Thailand do under the circumstances? You see a new world order emerging. I see a new world order emerging with Donald Trump, with Xi Jinping, and all this. How do you see the world now? And what is your advice to Thailand, being the next chairman of ASEAN?
They call it now post-normal times.
Post-normal times.
Because you can anticipate. You don't follow by the general rules of diplomacy, of understanding. But I think it's a transient. Sanity will be back. Humanity would demand some ethical basis and semblance of justice and order. We can't impose. So I think that would be certainly a major development to my mind. But for ASEAN, I think Thailand, of course, old experience in this. Hopefully they have elections next year, but they have, of course, a strong civil service and the foreign service that understands the intricacies of ASEAN to help the government. And we look forward to, of course, better collaboration because a strong Thai government would help be able to help resolve a lot of bilateral issues other than regional issues. And we're also concerned to make sure that there is absolute peace even in the south. I think Malaysia should continue to do whatever it can
for the southern provinces.
For the southern provinces, and for the Thai authority, of course, to use development as a major weapon, or at least to get people to have better living standards and employment, better education, and health facilities. Now I see a growing my contact with the Thais, growing number of people in Bangkok who sees this beyond a military solution, which is to me very reassuring.
Chinese, Indians, Kazakhstan.
แล้วก็ยังฝากถึงดร.สุรินทร์พิษสุวรรณเพื่อนของอันวาเพื่อนของผมที่จากไปอย่างคาดไม่ถึงด้วยครับ Well, our common friend Dr. Surin Pitsuwan just passed away unexpectedly. You want to say something about him?
He was a dear friend for decades, and a person very passionate about the welfare of the poor and the principles of justice. A great Democrat, and a great intellectual, a public intellectual who articulates issues very well. And for me personally, and my family, of course, we are very grateful to him too, because he continued concern. He continued to, even in the quiet, when he was not able to speak up, he always make it a point that the justice to me and to be accorded. Now we of course, I was of course very devastated when I heard one of my great friends from Thailand.
The whole country was shocked.
Yes, and I was in prison when I heard the news.
Yes. Last question. New dawn of Malaysia. What is the new dawn of Malaysia? What does it look like? And what, in your vision, going to see Malaysia in the next 3-5 years after this big shift, after this major change in your country?
It must mature as a democracy. It must affect changes in the economic policies that propel the economy, but at the same time deal with the problems of the poor and the masses and the marginalized, which economics tend to ignore. So you talk about inequality, they get excited. After a few months, they forget about it. So to me, these are major issues that governments must address and rid the country of this arrogance and corruption, which is becoming part and parcel of political game and life.
And you're ready for that task, that challenge?
We, in the sense that we have the team, should be ready.
You think they are ready?
Well, they must be ready.
If you are ready, they should be ready, or they must be ready.
Must be ready. Yes.
Thank you very much, Anwar.
Thank you very much.
So nice to see you again.
Thank you very much.
After so many years.
Yes. We keep in touch.
Thank you. Thank you. ติดตามสุทธิชัยไลฟ์กับผมทุกวันเช้าสายบ่ายเย็นมีเรื่องร้อนเรื่องวิเคราะห์เรื่องสัมภาษณ์เรื่อง Exclusive ต้องที่นี่ที่เดียวครับไปติดตามผมใน Facebook 2 เพจสุทธิชัยยุ่นกับสุทธิชัยไลฟ์และอย่าลืม YouTube ครับ YouTube ไปกด Subscribe ที่สุทธิชัยไลฟ์กด Subscribe แล้วกดกระดิ่งเตือนคุณทันทีที่สุทธิชัยไลฟ์มาในมือถือคุณนอกนั้น Twitter ไปกดติดตามและ TikTok ครับ TikTok ล่าสุดนั้นสามารถที่จะถ่ายทอดสดสุทธิชัยไลฟ์ให้ทุกท่านติดตามได้เช่นกันสุทธิชัยไลฟ์ anywhere anytime สุทธิชัยไลฟ์คือเพื่อนที่เล่าข่าววิเคราะห์ข่าวสามารถทำให้ท่านทันข่าวทุกวินาทีจากนี้ไปครับ